Have you ever had that feeling where the perfect word is right on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't find it? Well, today we're going to fix that. We're diving into 20 essential English concepts that really power our actions. Everything from starting a new project to just handling a tough conversation. You'll see how just one word can change everything. So let's jump right in.
First up, let's talk about the language of creation. You know that little spark you get when a new idea pops into your head? Well, to turn that spark into a real flame, you need the right words. These are the words that lay the foundation for bringing a project, an idea, or maybe even a whole new business to life.
All right, our first word, resolution. A resolution is simply a firm, really determined decision to do something or maybe not to do something. Think of it like the starting gun for a new goal. It's part of a whole family of words like resolve and resolute, which all point to that feeling of determination. The most common example, a New Year's resolution, of course. We also talk about making a resolution or passing a resolution in a meeting. It's all about that solid commitment. So who are the people making these big resolutions happen? Often it's the entrepreneur. You know, this word belongs to a family of creators: innovator, inventor, founder. An entrepreneur is someone who gets a business up and running. And yeah, they often take on some pretty big financial risks to make it work. They're really the engines of new ideas out there in the business world.
Now, every project has people involved, but their roles can be really different. Let's look at stakeholder versus beneficiary. A stakeholder is basically anyone who has an interest or a stake in how a project turns out. This could be investors, employees, even the local community. A beneficiary, on the other hand, is the person or group who gets the direct benefits or profits in the end. So a stakeholder has a stake in the journey, but the beneficiary gets the final prize.
And the last one for this section is cause. A cause is the reason something happens. It's what produces an effect. This brings us to the bigger idea of causality, you know, the whole relationship between cause and effect. Words like causal and because all come from this. A super simple example: heavy rain was the cause of the flood. It's a really powerful and basic concept. Okay, so we've talked about the words that help create ideas, but you and I both know an idea is just the very beginning. Now we need to get into the vocabulary of action. These are the words that actually make things happen and turn those brilliant plans into reality.
To get things done, you need the right stuff, and that's where the verb equip comes in. To equip someone means to supply them with whatever they need for a specific purpose. It's super close to words like supply or furnish. For example, you might equip a soldier with armor, or you could equip a lab for a new experiment.
Let's be honest, you can't do everything yourself. And that brings us to two really important action words: delegate and appoint. So here's the difference. When you delegate, you're entrusting a task or a responsibility, the what, to someone else. But when you appoint someone, you're assigning them a job or a role, the who. So you might delegate a task to your assistant, but you would appoint someone as the new team leader. It's all about task versus role. And after all that hard work is done, you've got to deliver. Now, at its simplest, this just means bringing something and handing it over. You know, words like delivery, handover, courier are all in the same family. But it's about so much more than just packages. You can deliver a speech, deliver a verdict, or, and this one's really important, deliver on a promise. It's all about meeting an expectation and getting something to where it needs to go.
Of course, the road from an idea to a finished product is almost never perfectly smooth, right? That brings us to our third section: how we talk about difficult situations. Having the right words for challenges and conflict is just as important as having the words for success. Let's start with a big one: fault. This word is all about being responsible for a mistake or a failure. The word family includes the adjective faulty, and you can think of synonyms like mistake or blunder. We hear it all the time, don't we? People say it was my fault to take responsibility, or it's not my fault to pass the blame. You can also say something is at fault. Okay, here are two words that get mixed up all the time: paranoid and delusional. Being paranoid means you have this unjustified suspicion and mistrust of other people. You think they're out to get you. A delusional person, though, holds a belief that is completely contradicted by reality itself. So here's the key: paranoia is about other people, while a delusion is a false belief about the world. It's a small difference in wording, but a huge difference in meaning. Here's another really important distinction to know: defamation versus slander. Okay, so defamation is the big general term for harming someone's reputation by saying or writing false things about them. Slander is a specific type of defamation. It's the kind that is spoken out loud. So just think of defamation as the umbrella, and slander is one specific thing underneath it.
When you're faced with a tough choice, sometimes you might decide to abstain. This basically means you formally choose not to do something, and usually it's about voting. You abstain from voting. The noun for it is abstention. It's your way of saying, I'm not picking a side here. It's an active choice to step back from a decision.
This one is a mood we've all felt, being fed up. This little phrase means you're just annoyed, unhappy, or totally bored because a situation has been going on for way too long. You're usually fed up with something. You might be fed up with your job, with the endless rain, or with a difficult person. It just means you've reached your limit. You've had enough.
Now, when a situation gets really serious, you might hear someone say, "This is no laughing matter." This phrase is used to underline how important or serious something is, to tell people, hey, this isn't something to joke about. It's funny because even though it has the word laugh in it, its meaning is the complete opposite. It means this is serious business. Okay, so we've looked at how to talk about the tough stuff. For our final section, let's look at the tools that can help us avoid those situations in the first place. The words for clear communication. These are the words that help us connect with people, clarify what we mean, and make sure our message really lands. You know, one of the most powerful tools we have for connecting with people is humor. Humor is just that quality of being amusing or funny. You know the word family? Humorous, joke, fun. A good sense of humor is so important, right? Because when you use it well, it can build bridges, ease tension, and make absolutely any message more memorable. So how do we actually communicate our ideas? Well, we use a medium. A medium is just the way, or the how, a message gets from one place to another. The internet is a medium. TV is a medium. Even paint is the medium for an artist. And you know the plural form, media, which we use all the time to talk about news organizations as a group. Sometimes, to get your point across effectively, you need to speak in broad terms. Broad just means covering a lot of ground. It's wide-ranging in general, not specific. So we might talk about a broad topic or building a broad coalition of supporters. You'll often hear people say broadly speaking or in broad terms, and that's your signal that they're giving you the big picture, not all the tiny details. Here's a pair that trips up a lot of people. Although and though. Now, they both mean the same thing, in spite of the fact that. The real difference is just in how they feel and where you can put them. Although sounds a little more formal, and it almost always starts a clause. Although it was raining, we went for a walk. Though is way more common in everyday conversation, and you can stick it at the end of a sentence. We went for a walk, though. And our very last word for today is meld. To meld things is to blend or combine them so they become one single unified thing. Think of other words like blend, merge, even melt. They all have that same feeling of coming together. You can meld two different companies, you can meld two styles of music, or you can meld two great ideas to create something totally new. So let's just step back for a second and bring it all together. We started with the language of creation, the words that bring ideas to life. Then we moved on to the words of action, to make those ideas a reality. We learned the vocabulary for getting through difficult situations. And finally, we looked at the tools for clear communication that help us connect with each other. Every single one is a tool for shaping our world. And there you have it, 20 essential words of action. From the spark of a new resolution all the way to the art of communication, we've seen just how powerful the right vocabulary can be. So that leaves me with just one question for you. Which new word are you going to use first?